Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Andrea, and today I wanted to talk about these girls right over here, the Hoya genus. Hello, Hoyas. I wanted to talk to you about their carrying needs, what to expect when you bring one home, their watering needs, how to propagate them, and jump into the type of varieties that I have at my home. So the type of Hoyas that exist, there's a ton of them. I should probably find out how many, but they are so easy care and you can find them at any big box store. There's some that might be a little harder to find, and trust me, I'm not done finding the collection. And once you jump into Hoyas, you realize that there is nothing like a Hoya. So the first Hoya, let's kind of scoot back here. Don't want to look too fat on camera. The first one I wanted to tell you about is this one. So this is called the Hoya Crimson Queen. So I'll zoom in for you. Ta-da! So if you can see here, it is actually a slow grower. I have owned this plant for over 2 years, and I haven't really seen much growth other than what you see. And I did have it in a very brightly lit spot. Hoyas are, I would say, pretty low light tolerant. I can't say that they're a low light plant, but they really can tolerate whatever light you give them. The office that I work at had a Hoya there before I was into plants that I realized never got any direct sunlight. It only got fluorescent light, and it flowered for us. So this one actually has flowered for me a few times. I'll show you a picture or a video of that in a second. And what is so unique about this Hoya is that when there is new growth coming in, it does not start out white. It actually starts out pink. So this is a little bit more of a new growth, and you might be able to see a little bit of the pink there, but it does become a little bit more white as it matures. And look, it looks almost like a bouquet you can have when you're getting married. Ah, so beautiful. So this is the Hoya Crimson Queen. What I would say is that they're so drought tolerant, and they also can be root bound to the point of no return. I find they do like to be root bound, so I have not up potted this at all, and it's doing great. It's actually loving the pot it's in. This is the Hoya Crimson Queen. I like it. Crimson Princess, or the Carnosa, or the tricolored princess. I actually don't know which one it is. So I've actually heard a few of them. So what I've noticed is it's actually very close to the Crimson Queen. I mistakenly bought the Crimson Queen thinking I'm buying the princess or the Carnosa or the tricolor, and they're so opposite of each other. So look at the differences here. So this is the Crimson Queen. It has green inside with the white variegation on the sides, and this is complete opposite. It has green on the outside and white on the inside. And the more mature it gets, the more white I can expect to see. I did buy this one in a 6-inch pot, but I bought a really small one. Cost me a little less money up front, but I'm like, hey, that's gonna grow in cascades, so I don't need to care about it being so big up front. But the bigger you get the plant, clearly the more mature it is, the longer it's been alive, and the bigger the leaves will be. But they're really slow growers, and they don't ask for much. You don't need to really fertilize them. I fertilize all my plants, but really I read all the time that you don't really have to fertilize Hoyas. And I don't know why that is, but it's very succulent-like. As you see, somebody drew on this one. And this one right here, it was the first Hoya that I fell in love with and realized that this is my favorite type of genus. Look at that. But as I said, they are drought tolerant and slow growers. They really do prefer bright and direct light. So in our home, we do have a lot of light here, and that was a huge motivation to move actually. Originally is because I wanted more windows, and I'm like, I want my Hoyas to get the light they deserve. And if you are really taking care of the Hoya, they will flower for you. Like I said, for the Crimson Queen in my office, it flowered for me several times. None at home have flowered for me yet, but I'm hopeful. Not that the flowers are too impressive. I think they're beautiful, but they're really waxy, and I'll show you some pictures of it, but I would definitely say it's a wax plant or a succulent-like plant. So that's how it can be more drought tolerant. It has a lot of that water stuck in its leaves, and so you'll start seeing it get a little bit, I guess the leaves themselves will start feeling a little bit softer versus kind of how hard they feel here. And from there, you're gonna be like, oh, I know I have to water you. This is also really pretty right here. Next, I wanted to talk about this Hoya. This is called the Hoya PUBICALYX, I want to say, and it starts with a P, PUBICALYX, something along those lines. I'll write it down. But this one actually started off as a propagation. These are very easy to water propagate. So this came from a huge Hoya at my doula's house, and I saw it in her sunroom, and I thought, oh my goodness, you got to give me a piece of that. And she gave me two cuttings, and I water propagated them for actually quite a long time. And from there, those two propagations or two single leaves have become this whole huge plant. And it doesn't just everything will continue to grow from the one leaf that gets propagated. So what you end up doing then is actually cutting the leaf that is continuing to grow, like this one. You can snip it again, and then snip this one, and then water propagate those. And then once they have roots, you can actually put them into the soil of the pot that you have the original in, and that's what makes it fuller, because it's not going to grow out of the root system from the soil like a, let's say, Sansevieria will. It all actually keeps coming from the same leaf, so it gets really top heavy if you don't have a lot of cuttings in one. But this one, like I said, did start off as a cutting, and they're usually not this bright. This one I actually have in quite a bit of direct light, and I like it in my office, so when I come in I get to see all these Hoyas. Oh, I realize you can't see all the Hoyas, but I like all the Hoyas to kind of shine down on me when I come in, like a waterfall effect. And this one does get too much light, and when it gets too much light, because there is such a thing as too much light for plants, you'll see that it did get kind of bleached. And then the leaves themselves are a little bit deformed. So there is such a thing as too much light for your Hoya. If you are debating direct light versus indirect light versus should I risk it for low light, I would actually lean more towards the low light spectrum, because you don't want to burn the leaves. They're more tolerant. It might grow a little slower that way, but hey, maybe you don't want it to grow as quick. So as you see, this is like almost neon colored. Not typically like this. And look at these leaves. And this is all new growth. So as it starts to grow, it actually starts off as a stem that has nothing on it. And from there, it's going to have little buds come out. Let's see if I have one that has little buds. Oh yeah, there you go. This actually was a flower. Yep, I did have one flower in my home. I forgot it was this one. But it took forever. I've had this for 3.5 years. So when my daughter was born, this is when this happened. So in 3.5 years, look what we got. Patience, people, patience. I don't have patience, but with plants, they teach me that I have to have it. Hoya Chelsea. This one I saw on YouTube, I can't lie. I watched Plant Arena, and she had one of these, and I thought, oh my goodness, give me that plant. And I was patient enough to see it start popping up online and in my greenhouse. So I did buy this one from my greenhouse. But like I keep saying, these are super slow growers, so really don't expect much. I've had this for, I want to say 6 to 8 months. It's not even, looks like it's vining yet. It almost looks like just hair on a little head here. But these are all vining plants, and what's super unique about the Chelsea is all of its dimpled leaves. And I did notice that varieties can become each other. So let's even say, like for this Crimson Queen, how am I gonna do this? Okay, for this Crimson Queen, if I look closer at this, like there's a few leaves here that actually look like the Chelsea. Right here, see, they're dimpled in, and they're much rounder like the Chelsea is, not like the more oval shape that they have. But it looks more like the Chelsea, which I'm always like, wow, that's so weird that it does that. But this one has no variegation in it. It's just purely green and succulent and like, and I actually had it right next to a flame, one of my candles, and it totally destroyed this side here. I feel so bad. I will cut it and promote new growth. And this one, I'm not sure what happened, but it's very crispy and it doesn't really move much, and I haven't had the heart to cut it out. I feel like it's kind of special. And then I do have a air plant inside here, just to give it a little friendship. I'll see, look, I have a few that are not doing so well. I gotta take them out. But like I said, they're low light They're pretty low light tolerant. They're super drought tolerant. They don't need to be up potted too often, and they're slow growers. So what's not to love? This is the Hoya Chelsea. And then we have this beast of a Hoya. This is my fast grower. I will say this is the exception to the rule. This is called a Hoya Australis. Look at this. I mean, looks the types of pots look like they should have faces on them. But this is such a fast grower, and it is a mover and a shaker. When I put it up in the window, it actually started to grow towards another plant, maybe this other Hoya, and they would meet each other and start intertwining, and it was so crazy cool. So I hated that I moved it a few times since then, but it loves to vine. So look at this. It's even twisting on itself. And this is all brand new growth. And it's like my lightest Hoya and my less succulent of all the Hoyas. Has really thin leaves. And it also is a little brighter than it should be because I have it in too much direct light. They usually are darker. Hey, let go. It's usually in a lot lower light situations, but I do like where it is, and I'm kind of torturing it, or actually training it to be okay with so much light. But I don't water it often. Like I said, I don't really water much of my Hoyas often. I don't need to. And as I was saying, this one is literally my grower. It's intertwined with itself here, and I don't even want to untwine it because I'm like, that's how it naturally wanted to be. But I love it. This is the Hoya Australis. I actually have not propagated this one yet. I really should. Oh, just a stunner. This I think my favorite. I don't know what my favorite is. They're all beautiful in their own ways. Vining though. I mean, I'm a vining plant girl. What can I say? And this is the most rare of the Hoyas, I do believe. I really couldn't find it anywhere for a long time, but it is called the Hoya Obovata. So you can Google this, you can look it up on Pinterest, and oh my goodness, it is like picture perfect ready. I mean, look at how pretty this plant is. Very succulent-like. The leaves are super thick. They're speckled. It is a very slow grower. For the year and a half that I've had it, this is probably all it's given me is maybe this bottom half right here. And this is all brand new for the last few months. Look how little these leaves are. They start off so little and they grow so quick. Well, in the grand scheme of things, I guess it grows quick. But it is very heavy. And like I said, it's probably the most rare of all the plants. And what I like about, or what's so special about this one to me, is the fact that it's really hard to find. I have not had to propagate this at all just because, I mean, I shouldn't say had to have propagated, it's just such a slow grower. I had a girlfriend come over and she said, Andrea, when you find that plant, you need to buy it for me or you need to cut off this baby. I'm not cutting this one. It took too much to get it, but it is absolutely beautiful. In summary, that was my tried and true small but mighty Hoya collection. There's so many more Hoyas out there, and there's a few that I actually still want to bring home. But I want to make sure I went over everything. So let me know what you think, if you have questions, or if I didn't go over something that I said I would. I want to make sure that I'm really giving you all the tips and tricks that you need to be successful in bringing your Hoya home. But really don't overthink it. They're beautiful. They're easy to take care of. Barely ever have to water them. They can live in almost any light situation, and you can water propagate them like no other. So some are a lot easier to water propagate than others, like I said. And if you do find the Hoya Obovata somewhere, you should totally buy it because it's hard to find. And also the Chelsea is pretty hard to find. So hope you have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much for checking me out. Subscribe. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. We'll talk again. Bye.